Staying with us, the South African Competition Commission has been hosting its 15th annual Competition Law, Economics and Policy Annual Conference this week. The focus this year was on economic recovery and reconstruction. Let's talk about this with Competition Commissioner Tembinkosi Bonakele, who's joining us on News at Prime tonight. Commissioner, very good evening to you. Welcome to the program. Let's begin first with competition policy's role in South Africa's economic recovery and reconstruction, as per your theme this year.
Yes, we had quite a number of speakers speaking on this, including Minister Ibrahim Patel. Everybody recognizes that there's going to be a new economic trajectory in South Africa that's founded on more inclusivity and equity, but also premised on sustainable growth. And sustainable growth, it has been kind of observed that it needs a dynamic and competitive economy. So competition policy has a big role to play because a concentrated economy tends to be sluggish and is unlikely to have the kind of dynamism that we need for a growing and job-creating economy.
And to what degree would you say anti-competitive behavior has hampered that goal?
You see, what happens is in a concentrated economy, you're likely to have abuse of dominance by dominant firms, something which we have observed in South Africa, whether it's by excluding others from the market or excessive pricing or things like that. Or you are likely to have cartels. Because cartels are easier to manage when you have a concentrated economy. You have fewer firms, and therefore it's easier to coordinate. So that type of an economy is likely to see high costs, prices, as well as lack of innovation.
And as far as your mandate as the Competition Commission Commissioner, how much does the mandate itself allow you to play an active role in that space, in the broader sense, apart from saying to people, well, we're going to fine you for this anti-competitive behavior?
I mean, it's far-reaching. I mean, I'll give you examples of the things we have done. We've gone to the property and retail sector, and we've identified that the independents, SMMEs, historically black, individuals have been sort of shut out of the shopping malls through exclusive lease agreements with major retailers as anchor tenants. We have opened up that space. We came in and actually we didn't level fines, but we got a consent agreement from both Shoprite Checkers and Pick n Pay that they will do away with exclusive lease agreements. And therefore you are likely now to see entry of independents and black participants into shopping malls in the retail space. So we have a lot actually of, we've done the same with the auto sector, the so-called aftermarket. You know, when you buy your car, you have to maintain it, you've got to service it. And all of those services historically in South Africa have been kind of locked, restricted, because you could only service and maintain your car through approved service providers such as approved dealerships. We have opened up that space as of this year that you should be able to maintain and service your car at a workshop of your choice. That's the extent of power that we have, that we can open up markets, and we've made that our priority.
So that is the extent of your power. You've given us a few examples of where you have intervened, I should say. How receptive, how open is big business to the measures that are needed to not only open up the space, but create an economic and trading environment that, yes, makes them the highest level of profits, but also does not disadvantage us, the consumers?
We've got to understand that sustainable growth requires inclusivity. But this message is not always well understood. So yes, we do get resistance. We get resistance from the incumbents, and in a way that is natural. So when you say to the guys, in a shopping mall where you are, we want to put up another supermarket, we want to put up a butchery next to you, or a fresh produce retailer, the immediate reaction is to resist that. And so we've come across resistance. It's the same with the auto sector. When we go to the guys who are currently operating dealerships and say this space has to be opened up, you do face resistance. But I find that in the long run, people can see the logic of a proper argument. And often the spin-offs are greater. The spin-offs are greater for society.
And I'm glad, Commissioner, that you mentioned the long run, because the Competition Commission, like with other institutions in this country, you look at the Chapter 9 space, Chapter 9 institution space in this country, people will say that yes, there's action, yes, there can be intervention and assistance, but often, perhaps like the justice system, things just grind too slowly. Are you finding that you're able to move swiftly enough to open up these spaces?
We work primarily through a litigation process, which naturally is time-consuming. But we've also been quite creative. I mean, you would have seen our work, for example, to open up the school uniform market to more players, more independence. That we did outside of the court system. We did the same with mobile telephones. We reached an agreement with them. We didn't litigate. Of course, we did an inquiry, which took a couple of months. But instead of litigating against them for excessive pricing, we said, look, this price looks excessive. Are you going to litigate, or are you going to reduce your prices? And we were able to reach an agreement with both Vodacom and MTN to reduce those prices. And so you're seeing now that with lockdown, more and more people using data, you're seeing a lot of businesses dependent on use of internet. So that intervention, if it took longer and took litigation, the benefits would have been lost. So you can be creative, even in a legalistic society like South Africa. You can be creative in reaching pragmatic solutions with industry.
Competition Commissioner Tembinkosi Bonakele, good to speak to you, sir. Thank you for being on News at Prime tonight.
Thank you for inviting me.